For thousands of years, the Earth has hidden a forgotten story beneath its surface. Beneath sand, stone, jungle, and sea lie the remains of civilizations erased from our history. These ruins challenge everything we are taught about our past. Advanced knowledge appears where no civilization should have had it. And across the world, artifacts have surfaced that do not fit our timeline. If the past is a book, then someone has torn out entire chapters. And those missing chapters tell a story that powerful institutions chose to bury. Tonight, we open that door. This is Forbidden Archaeology, the story of forgotten worlds erased from history. Our journey begins with the evidence that does not belong to the timeline we were given. Across the world, discoveries have surfaced that defy the official story of human civilization. These artifacts should not exist with the level of technology our ancestors supposedly possessed. And yet, they do. Some of these objects produce electricity. Others predict the motion of the heavens with impossible precision. And some were found sealed inside stone, millions of years older than human civilization. If even one of these anomalies is real, our history must be rewritten. But artifacts are only half the story. The ground has also revealed bones that do not match our species. Some skeletons stood over 10 feet tall, with proportions that defy human biology. These were not deformed humans. They were something else. And yet, many of these remains vanished after discovery. Institutional reports called them misidentified or lost to relocation. But disappearance is not an explanation. Again and again, discoveries that challenge the timeline are sealed away. The pattern is global. From North America to Asia, the same silence follows the same kind of discovery. It is no longer coincidence. It is policy. And that raises the question, what are they afraid we will find? These anomalies form the outline of a forgotten world. Not myth, not legend, physical evidence. And if the evidence is real, then our history is incomplete by design. Someone, somewhere, decided what we are allowed to remember, and what must stay buried. So we must leave the artifacts behind and go to the source. The truth is not in the museum. It is in the places we are not allowed to dig. If we want answers, we must go where the trail is blocked. And so our search leads next to the forbidden dig sites, the ones closed, sealed, and erased from public history. Some places on Earth are not just unexplored, they are deliberately sealed. Teams once dug here openly, until everything stopped. Access was revoked. Permits vanished. The site was locked down. Officials claimed the closures were for safety. But eyewitnesses tell a different story. They say something was found, something unexpected. And that discovery vanished before the public ever knew it existed. This is where the trail turns from archaeology to secrecy. In many cases, armed security replaced archaeologists overnight. Dig teams were escorted out, and their findings were confiscated. Some were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements. Others simply stayed quiet and disappeared from the field. What was so dangerous beneath the soil that entire projects had to be erased? The evidence points to discoveries that threatened the official timeline. Some sites were closed after uncovering megalithic stonework deep below later civilizations. Others exposed chambers filled with inscriptions that do not match any known culture. And in rare cases, bones that did not fit our species or our history. Beneath layers of soil and secrecy, discoveries have surfaced that rewrite the story of human origins. At Gunung Padang in Indonesia, ground-penetrating scans revealed hidden chambers and construction layers that may date back tens of thousands of years, long before the rise of any known civilization. Yet, instead of global headlines and open research, the site was slowed, restricted, and quietly pushed out of the spotlight. The same pattern repeats. Discoveries are announced, excitement begins, and then doors slam shut. In Nevada's Lovelock Cave, early reports described unusually large skeletal remains, only for the bones to vanish into institutional storage. In Peru, the elongated skulls of Paracas still defy the simple explanation of binding, showing cranial volumes too large to dismiss. And then there are the dig sites, where evidence surfaced only briefly before being removed, sealed, or classified. Rumors of closed chambers beneath the Giza Plateau, restricted tunnels and unexplored shafts, and artifacts taken away under armed supervision, all point to one conclusion: the past is being filtered. These sites are not closed because there is nothing to find. They are closed because there is something to hide. Something that does not fit the approved timeline. Something that suggests humanity is far older, far more capable, and far more interrupted than our textbooks allow. The trail of forbidden dig sites leads to a terrifying possibility that our civilization is not the first, but the latest. If older worlds rose and fell before us worlds, erased by cataclysm or buried by design, then the ruins we have found are only fragments of a much larger story. To uncover it, we must follow the megaliths and the impossible engineering they left behind. The stones tell a story older than our civilization. Around the world, megalithic structures stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten age carved, lifted, and set into place with techniques we still cannot fully replicate. Before mankind built kingdoms, someone built in stone on a scale that defies everything we are taught about ancient engineering. In Baalbek, Lebanon, the trilithon stones weigh over 800 tons, each so large that no modern crane on Earth can lift them in a single piece on rough terrain. Yet someone cut them, moved them, and fit them with remarkable precision in an age we are told had only ropes, chisels, and copper tools. No inscriptions explain who built them. No records claim ownership. The stones simply exist impossible and out of place. Across the ocean, at Pumapunku in Bolivia, stones were carved with machine-like precision, perfect 90-degree angles, laser-straight cuts, and smooth drill holes that match modern machining marks. And yet, this site is older than the Inca and predates known advanced tools by millennia. We are told it was built with primitive instruments. The evidence argues otherwise. At Ollantaytambo and Sacsayhuaman in Peru, polygonal walls rise like puzzles of Stone Age block uniquely shaped, each fitting the next with no gaps, no mortar, and no explanation. Earthquakes could not break them, weather could not wear them down. These walls were built to endure time itself, but by whom? The deeper we investigate, the clearer it becomes. Either ancient builders possessed advanced knowledge that vanished, or we are missing an entire chapter of human civilization. These megaliths were not built by chance, they were engineered. Modern engineers have attempted to explain these megaliths, yet no experiment has successfully replicated their construction at full scale. Estimates show that moving an 800-ton stone like those at Baalbek would require cranes larger than any in operation today, and even then, only on smooth industrial surfaces. But the ancients moved these stones across hills, slopes, and uneven terrain, leaving no record of the methods they used. The question is not whether they did, it is how. At Puma Punku, engineers have measured cuts that are so precise, even diamond-tipped tools would struggle to achieve the same finish in the field today. Drill holes appear evenly spaced, while grooved blocks align with flawless symmetry. To call this primitive is to ignore the evidence in front of us. Someone understood geometry, vibration, stone resonance, and advanced shaping techniques long before our textbooks allow such knowledge to exist. Even the placement of these megaliths suggests a deeper intelligence at work. Many sites align with celestial movements, the solstices, equinoxes, and star paths hinting at lost astronomical knowledge. These were not random constructions, they were calendars, observatorios, and power centers built with purpose. Someone studied the sky, mapped the heavens, and anchored their monuments to the cosmos itself. If the ancients possessed advanced knowledge, the obvious question follows: where did that knowledge come from? Was it trial and error over thousands of years, or the inheritance of something older, something passed down from a forgotten age that ended in silence? These monuments do not mark the beginning of civilization. They mark the surviving clues of a civilization that came before. A civilization that understood stone, sky, and skyland, then vanished. To uncover what happened to them, we must search for the fingerprints of catastrophe and the traces of a world that was reset. Modern tools struggle to shape and move stones as the ancients did, yet they accomplished these feats with no machines, no steel, and no known lifting systems. Mainstream explanations, ropes, ramps, and manpower fall apart under the scale of what we see. The evidence suggests knowledge that either vanished or was never meant to survive. Megaliths were built to endure earthquakes, time, and destruction. Many align with ancient star paths, suggesting that whoever built them understood cycles far older than written history. This was not improvisation. This was legacy architecture, carrying memory through stone, as if warning a future civilization not yet born. But if these builders were so advanced, where did they go? Why did their knowledge disappear? Why do only ruins remain shattered, silent, and incomplete? Across continents, the same pattern appears: impossibly precise structures, followed by sudden collapse. These ruins are not the beginning of our story. They are the end of another. A chapter erased, not by time alone, but by something far more destructive. Something powerful enough to reset civilizations, drown coastlines, fracture continents, and wipe knowledge from the earth, leaving only stone behind as a survivor. What force erased the world that came before us? Was it disaster or design? To answer that, we must follow the scars of cataclysm, the blackened layers of ancient earth, the cities swallowed by the sea, and the firestorms written in myth. A great reset shattered the old world, and only now are we beginning to uncover its traces. Long before recorded history, a great civilization may have risen only to be destroyed in a single global catastrophe. Around 12,800 years ago, the Earth was struck by a sudden cataclysm, now known as the Younger Dryas event. Temperatures plummeted, ice sheets fractured, and oceans began to rise with terrifying speed, marking the end of a forgotten world. In the geological record, a strange black layer appears across multiple continents, filled with ash, soot, nanodiamonds, and melted glass. These materials form only under intense heat, hinting at a global firestorm that swept across the planet. Something powerful struck the Earth, something capable of ending an age in moments. As the ice melted and oceans surged, coastlines vanished beneath more than 120 meters of rising sea. Entire regions where ancient civilizations may have lived are now underwater, sunken and silent. The world we know today is built on the ruins of a world that drowned. Across the world, beneath the waves, lie the remains of structures that should not be there. Off the coast of India, the sunken city of Dwarka stretches across the seabed, with stone formations and geometric layouts that hint at planned design. Divers found ruins resting far below the modern shoreline, meaning they were built before the seas swallowed them. Whatever civilization lived there existed during a time our history refuses to acknowledge. In Japan, near Yonaguni Island, another enigma rests beneath the surface, a colossal stepped structure with 90-degree angles, terraces, and flat platforms that look carved rather than eroded. Some claim it is natural, others insist it is the work of ancient hands. But the symmetry and shape suggest intention, not accident. And in the Caribbean, the Bimini Road lies beneath shallow water's massive stone blocks, forming a path across the seafloor. To some, it is merely geology. To others, it is yet another piece of a sunken peninsula, memory of coastlines that existed before the flood. Piece by piece, the ocean reveals the shadow of a world that drowned. Over 200 ancient cultures share the same memory, a great flood that shattered the world. From Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, from the Hopi to the Hindus, the stories repeat civilization rising, then drowning beneath unstoppable waters. Myth becomes history when the same story appears on every continent. These stories are not coincidence. They are memory passed down through survivors, reshaped into legend. A cataclysm struck the earth, washing away not just cities, but knowledge, identity, and continuity. Humanity did not begin in simplicity. It began again in desperation. When the waters finally receded and the storms fell silent, the earth was not the same. Coastlines were redrawn, continents scarred, and entire regions erased from the map. The survivors emerged into a broken world, stripped of their cities, their knowledge, and their certainty. What once stood as civilization had collapsed into scattered tribes fighting to endure. In the aftermath, humanity faced a harsh reset. Generations were born into a world with no memory of what came before. Skills faded, technologies vanished. Oral stories became myth, and myth became legend. The survivors held only fragments of a past, too shattered to rebuild fragments that later cultures would mistake for their beginning, not their inheritance. Yet traces of the old world endured in symbols, in stone, and in memory. The megaliths remained as silent monuments to a forgotten age, too massive to erase and too precise to dismiss. To the broken survivors, these ruins must have seemed like the work of gods, but they were not divine. They were the legacy of a civilization that fell. If a great civilization once thrived and was then erased, the question is no longer whether they existed, but what they left behind, who carried their knowledge into the next age, who remembered the old secrets, who became the architects of the first empires. To find them, we must search for the survivors, those who rose from the ashes of the old world and shaped the new.